It's quite late, but we have an exciting speaker with us tonight, Eva Kaili. She's a member of European Parliament. I mean, all the Greeks in the room know her very well because she has been for two periods a member of the Greek Parliament with PASOK. But since 2014, she's a member of European Parliament, and she's a chair of STOA, which is the Science and Technology Options Assessment Body, and she's working a lot on innovation, digital innovation in a digital single market. And she's going to talk about a very interesting issue, which is blockchain. In our meetup a few months ago, we had a blockchain session, and everybody seemed to be very, very interested. And the topic of that is, I will just, blockchain and safe data for health, mHealth, eHealth, you name it. So, Eva, I would like you to just tell us a little, before you talk about that, I would like you to tell us a little bit about STOA and the work you're doing. Everybody in this room is very much interested in the digital transformation of our society. Of course, here we're talking about health. And innovation is one of the things we want, everybody wants to see it be pushed. And I would like you to tell us a little bit more of your work in the European Parliament.
First of all, I want to thank you for inviting me, and congratulations for bringing everybody together here. I cannot think of anybody that is not actually participating. I haven't seen this level of work in Greece. I've seen it in Brussels sometimes, but still, we are doing many parallel discussions on eHealth. But I understand that here you have managed to have all the sectors included. It's a huge topic. It's one of our concerns whenever we work with science and technology. My committee is actually doing some workshops and studies to provide data for legislation to the members of the European Parliament. So whenever you have an issue that you discuss here, we try to get all the data that we can, provide it to our members, so that they can make the right decisions and the right legislation. Because if you think that some decision might block innovation or could create more problems than the issues we will solve, then we have to make sure that our members know. And because we have so many different things to work with, it's very important to work with scientists, get the right data, and provide them with a very short feedback of what they should actually know. So as you understand, eHealth is one of our major concerns. And of course, since I've been working quite a bit with new technologies, I discover every day something new and exciting. So in science and the new digital economy that we're trying to create to remove geo-blocking, so to work as a one market, and also to get the developments of 5G, this network that would help health and telemedicine to develop even further. I'm trying to see what's next. So we have the foresight unit, and we try to see what are the developments there and to make sure we are prepared. So it's artificial intelligence, of course. You already mentioned it a lot. It's deep learning. It's blockchain. And we are working a lot on blockchain now. I'm the rapporteur for the resolution we're doing. We're giving the direction of the new legislation to make sure that we can benefit, because it's a completely new technology. And before I say more, let me just say that it's exciting because you're a scientist yourself, and it's an honor to talk with you here in this panel, because I'm not a scientist of health, actually, but I'm trying to make sure that when I don't know something, I can understand and predict what my colleagues don't know, and make sure that they have the right feedback to do their job. So I already got some input. I see some friends here also. I see that we have excellent examples from Greece, like in Trikala. They had the project working with data of the Roma community. Even before anybody was talking about eHealth, they were actually leading this project. So they managed to get also funding, and they used ICT to improve healthcare for the community with telemonitoring, electronic medical records, and this all in Trikala, in Greece. So something that I'm trying to also promote outside our borders. And yeah, of course, as I said, I have friends here, and they are everywhere, I have to say. Like Lina, I always meet them when we talk about new technologies. And same examples we can only see in Estonia and Finland. So this is what we're trying to do, to find best cases, to make sure that the new technology we accommodate it. And I don't know if you want me to do it more as a dialogue or you want me to explain blockchain.
Well, I can say one thing before you proceed, because I would like to let you know the floor and tell us about blockchain. I don't know much yet, but I try to understand. One of the things I wanted to say is that it seems that technology is going faster than legislation.
True.
So legislators are chasing, everything goes so fast, and legislators run after, those events and try to understand what they have to do to make it safe for everybody. So this is an issue, I suppose, that STOA has to offer, in the sense provide all the data that is absolutely necessary for them to legislate, because I understand that the level of understanding of digital, sometimes, we complain that people do not understand in our area, in our country. But my understanding is that even, in Europe, the average European Parliament member of Parliament doesn't necessarily know much about technology. So the effort you do there, we are trying to do, of course, in our environment, is very important, because you can, provide all the arguments that are necessary for us to just do the dissemination. Please.
The truth is that sometimes we are too slow, because we're trying to make sure that there will be no implications. For example, if you use this very interesting game that I saw, this superhero game, I could actually promote it more, but we have always the concerns that is anonymous, the data are anonymous, is any user remaining anonymous? So these are some issues that we have to think each step of the way. So thank God we are just following the innovation, because if we had to lead innovation, if politicians had to lead, I think they would actually block it. So it's really important to be there and allow it to happen, to give sandboxes, so to allow to go beyond the rules, because it's very interesting if I would tell you, like in my committee, another committee, industry and research, which is a huge committee and very important. Industry is the engine to motivate economy and growth. We had a discussion about Uber. You all know Uber. You must have used it once, if not here, when you're abroad. It's when you're calling a taxi or private car with a better price, and you see online where it is based, and it can actually take you around, or you can pre-arrange a meeting. This is more easy than picking up the phone, not being able to give your exact location. So everything is happening in a more easy way. So we had a discussion about Uber, and there was this young girl who is actually working for the Commission, and she was really upset. She was from Spain. We have to ban Uber. Uber should never continue because they are not following the rules. Innovation cannot follow rules. Innovation is exactly people that don't follow the rules, that they think out of the box. And the same thing happens with cloud. Some people are afraid of the cloud. So if you go in the European Parliament, it's like a room like that, and you ask politicians if they like or they trust the cloud, they would say, no, I don't use it. Many of them. And then you ask them, but do you have an email? And they would say, yes, of course. So you use the cloud and you don't know it. I would have many examples to show you that many of our legislators, they have no idea what they're talking about. So we have to make sure that the ones that do actually the legislation, because we all have specific files to amend or to work on. But in general, we have to make sure that they understand what they're doing and that the innovation is there and the future is here and they cannot wait. Some people told me that, again in Trikala, you have this autonomous vehicle, a bus going around the city. When I told that to this committee, the committee that's working with digital issues, they told me, don't bother about that. Autonomous vehicles will take place in 40 years or 50. And it's like, okay, it's already happening. And I had to find an article translated in English so that they can believe me. And they thought we were so far ahead. The same thing now is happening with blockchain. A lot of people are afraid of blockchain because it's, again, a new technology. It's also it's decentralizing internet. This means there is no central authority. And some politicians, they like authority and control. And also some companies, of course, and the banks especially. So this completely gives you back the control. This means you can have the control of your health data. So you can have your card, like in Estonia and Finland, they've done that. You can own your data. You can show it to anybody you want with your code, your private key. And you can also carry it around the world, and you have everything included. You don't have to search your papers. You don't need to translate anything. Everything is included in your card. With blockchain, what you do is actually you put a timestamp. You put a stamp that it's your data. Nobody can use it unless you give them specific permission for a specific period of time. You can have 2 or 3 steps of verification. So you make it extra strong, extra secure. But it's also transparent because you can control what is there. And you can use it whenever you want, and you can provide everybody that's working in the industry with the data that they need and not the data that they don't need. There has been a case when a professor from Bristol, he's Italian, he's working on artificial intelligence, and he came to an event that we had back in the Parliament, in the European Parliament. He was really worried because he was working with artificial intelligence. And he told us, you know, we are having this pilot, so we're experimenting with your Google search and your Facebook pages. And whenever you search something about a chronic disease or about some symptoms, we create this file for you, we profile you, and if we see that there are the same symptoms concentrated in a specific place, we understand there is an epidemic happening, or a chronic disease that you have and you don't even know it. And sometimes on Facebook, we even know what's your mood, if you are depressed, if you're happy or not. And we can also, we are already experimenting on how we can improve your health. We can improve your mood. We can give you and provide you with specific information. This means that one day we might even talk about predicting something that might happen. We already have wearable devices. You know, Demokritio, the University of Macedonia, in Macedonia, they already have a project of wearables. So you wear a bracelet, and they can track if you have Parkinson or if you are about to have a heart attack or a stroke. So how? Because it can understand by counting your movement if this is a possibility. So it can predict, it can save lives, and it can provide everybody with a lot of data. So we see the technologies has a huge progress, but also the professor himself was really concerned because if this data, imagine, so you have an application, like a game. So you start playing the game. You put your name there, your credit card details, your region, everything that they ask for, and then they say, we will not share your information with anybody but with third trusted parties. Nobody knows who these parties are. You put your data there, you play the game, you have the disease or you don't, Or you say, my family has this disease, so I'm really interested, because it's very rare to be interested in something like that if you haven't heard something about it. And then a third trusted party is an insurance company. In one case in Germany, it happened to be the insurance company of the user herself, a lady. And suddenly she was excluded from this insurance company. She's now filing a lawsuit against the company. This is one of our major concerns, because she wouldn't have known. She thought about that and she started this lawsuit, and then she understood that her data were used and sold to this insurance company. So blockchain can make sure that if somebody uses your data, you know it's anonymous, and if you want to share your data with your name, then you can even be rewarded for that. So they will not sell your data without your knowledge. This happens because everybody has a copy of the transaction. Imagine if you Google search something, you have a history, what you've done. Normally, you can delete your history. Of course, it's centrally controlled. Somebody keeps your data, but you can delete it. With blockchain, you cannot. Everything is written, can never be unwritten. It's a block. You can move to the next block. You can correct it, but you can never go back and delete it. So it's there. This makes it super safe. And also because the same copy, whenever there is a community of an application on the blockchain, everybody has a copy of your data without your name, of course, but they have the copy. So if I want to hack your account, I have to hack everybody at the same time. This makes it close to impossible, the way we know internet, at least for now, because if you have quantum computers, maybe this will be broken. Maybe you have to invent a new technology. They're already thinking about that. But for the time being, it's the safest thing that we have. So this is what we're working on. Our main concern is that you control your data. If your data are being sold, you get rewarded for your data. There is already a project from the Commission already. So I think we are not just following. I think in some cases we're even leading some part of this innovation on health data and blockchain. It's called My Health, My Data. You take the initials. And they are trying to reduce the cost of your data, of protection of your data, because in the US, the amount of money, not to use your data, but to protect you from leaking your data, it's about like 20 billion or something. With the same amount of money, you can radically change the health system. So there's a big field of improvement, and there's a huge opportunity to create new jobs, besides the fact that you benefit everybody by using their data, because, as I said, you can predict, you can create patterns, you can understand how a disease can be stopped or which treatment works better, because you have data. And this is why we treat data as gold in the European Parliament now, and we're focusing a lot on the uses of data. But it's really important to make sure that the bad consequences of this technology will not happen. And a final thing that I would like to say, besides the fact that we have also 5G that was a research funded by the European Union. And unfortunately, our industries are not strong enough to keep it here. So sometimes we have excellent research, the best scientists, and we pay for this research, but we don't get the benefit of the industry or of the commercial product. Why? Because they pay more in other countries to get that. We try to compete. I already worked on the project, the Juncker Plan funding, the strategic investment fund, actually, of Europe. So we try to motivate the private sector and the industry to get liquidity and guarantees and stay in Europe. And I also have inside digital infrastructure and blockchain. So anybody now, these days, we already passed the second part of the legislation, can get funding and also financing of new blockchain technologies and more. Agriculture, I don't talk about everything, but almost everything now can happen and take place in the European Union. The last thing I want to say is that since people do not trust a lot the companies, and they don't trust politicians as much as we want it, and they have a good reason that they don't trust us. I would say that people trust more mathematics or algorithms, but because they are made of human, so it's a human creation, a person makes the algorithm, and sometimes there are mistakes. They try to improve it. They trust mathematics more, but we also have to make sure that we have a code of ethics when we talk about health. And this is a second thing that we're working on. So we work on the funding, we work basically on the technology, and now on the ethics, the third part, to have a code of ethics and avoid funding any innovation that can harm people. And this has to do, of course, for example, with autonomous weapons, or of somebody that might use your data and sell your data in an insurance company, and the fees have to be unbearable so that they would never do that. And also use technologies that by default make sure that we are protected. So these are some of the things we're doing now. And of course, we have a big health action plan until 2020. It's also part of the horizon. We're trying even to define eHealth, mHealth, electronic health record, e-prescription, because we also have to have common understanding and common definitions on how we fund something, on where is the opportunity and what we have to fix. I would love to keep this discussion going, because now we also have the file of cybersecurity in the Parliament, and health is one of the top priorities, and cybersecurity has to do more with health than anything else, actually. So these are the things that we're doing. I would say we're very active, but I agree that we are a bit slow in some fields.
I mean, we don't mind that if it is for the safety and the quality. One thing I wanted to ask, a concern in general is talking about blockchain, that, blockchain it is today, which means that I have to make an investment to just, reorganize my organization, whatever it is, either public or private, to just incorporate the blockchain technology. And then, before even, I had the time, to just pay it off, another technology comes in. So we know that in technology, normally, in an enterprise, you take, about 5 years, to just pay off, all your... Yes, but in technology we give less time. So it is a niche. The technology evolves all the time, and then you just have to adjust. And how robust is blockchain?
Well, as I said, blockchain is actually an infrastructure like cloud or internet. So it's the applications that might be used or not. But the same way that we have Uber, but we still have taxis. We have ATM, but we still have bankers. We have people working in banks. We have Airbnb, but we still have the owners of the places. New technologies do not destroy the traditional way of the system, because not everybody is connected. Not everybody trusts it. They don't use it. Some people do, but some people don't. You have so many health applications that are not being used the way you would expect. I would say 1 out of 20 is being used, actually. So I wouldn't be scared, but we're trying to be technology neutral and business model neutral in Europe. So we have this principle of not stopping a technology, but not supporting a technology more than another one. So whenever there's a technology, we explore the potential. And we don't concentrate in just one. That's why we have different plans. And we have many projects, even in eHealth, because we're testing it and we're doing pilots. And we're taking the risk so that the private sector can invest and they can spend time, because they might even fail up to a point. And this risk is something that we can take. And we have many projects. We have the sociable, you talk about dementia. They created this, it's funded by the European Commission. We have the virtual physiological human. This is a 3D model which is trying to understand and track your health and find if you have a problem by basically taking a photo of the human body on 3D. We have so many so many new startups and ideas that we fund. But I would say we try to keep a balance, and if something new comes, we try to rush in and give it space and create sandboxes and funding, especially for this new technology. But I agree, it's happening very fast.
Yes.
It used to happen very slow, and you would see that the recent years, the progress is like an explosion, and even the developers themselves, they don't know where this can stop.
I would like to ask you to put questions, maybe if you have, before we proceed to our panel, Advancing eHealth. Any questions to Eva?
No, I think we answered everything ourselves.
Okay. So,
I can only say that if anybody wants to have any information on what we're doing in Europe, I can also leave you our files, because we have things that are happening now. And if you have any ideas that might not be included, we can create a code of funding for you. So this means if you have an amazing idea and you cannot understand where it fits, we can help you and we can give you space and money so that you can move with your progress. And as I said, we have many universities in Greece that actually do that, and they don't even work for Greece, they work for us in a European level.
Okay. Excellent. I mean, that was good for us to know. So I would like to just ask Eva if she wants to stay. We are going to have another panel, and the subject is Advancing eHealth in Greece. So this is more of a business orientation of this panel, and we will have representatives from the industry, eHealth industry. And I would like to ask Vicky and Lila to come and moderate. We can... You will... No, you can stay here. But